The arena expected practice steel. The human unleashed an ancient war sword. The sun was low in the sky, and the air smelled of dust and metal. Logan Hayes walked through the wide gates of the arena, his boots making soft thuds on the stone floor. The place was huge. Rows of seats stretched up into the sky, crowded with aliens of every shape and size. Their colors were bright and strange, and their eyes glowed with curiosity. Some had scales, some had feathers, and some had skin that shimmered like liquid silver. Logan had seen many strange things in his life, but the crowd in this arena made him feel small. He held his head high, keeping his cloak wrapped tight around his body. Under the cloak, hidden from view, was the sword. It was old, very old, but it had never lost its sharpness. Its handle was carved with strange symbols, and when he touched it, he felt a hum run through his fingers. Logan knew the sword was powerful, but only he could unlock its full strength. He had been trained to fight with it since he was a boy, and he had learned the secrets of its use from his grandfather. The arena master, Crow, noticed him immediately. Crow was tall, taller than any human Logan had ever seen. His skin was smooth and green, and his eyes were long and narrow. He looked like a snake standing on two legs. He smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "Human," Crow hissed, his voice sharp. "You think you belong here. You think you can fight with us. You will follow our rules, practice steel only, no real weapons." Logan nodded. He did not speak. He knew that arguing would get him nowhere. Crow wanted to test him. He wanted to see if the human would obey or rebel. Logan had learned long ago that patience could be as powerful as any sword. He took a deep breath and stepped into the arena. The floor of the arena was smooth stone, worn from centuries of battles. Marks of old fights, deep scratches and grooves crisscrossed the ground. Logan looked around. There were weapons lined up on racks along the edge of the field. All were practice weapons made of dull metal or light wood. The aliens did not want anyone to die here. They wanted a show, a performance, a display of skill without true risk. Logan smiled slightly to himself. They did not know what he carried. The first opponent came forward. He was a Brontid, a large, muscular creature with thick arms and heavy armor. His practice sword was as long as Logan's body, and it looked dangerous, even though it could not really kill. The Brontid growled, showing sharp teeth, and swung his weapon with force. Logan stepped back, moving easily. He was smaller than his opponent, but he was fast and careful. Every step he took was measured. Every movement had a purpose. The fight began. The Brontid swung his practice sword hard and fast. Logan blocked with his own practice sword, deflecting the blows. He could feel the vibration of the metal through his hands. The crowd made noise, but Logan did not notice them. He focused only on his opponent. He watched the Brontid's movements, noting patterns, strength, and timing. Every fighter had a weakness if you watched closely enough. After a few moments, Logan's hand brushed against the hilt of the hidden sword beneath his cloak. A small pulse of energy ran up his arm. He could feel it, faint but alive. He had not used the sword in years. He had only carried it for emergencies, for moments when a fight could not be won with simple skill. He wondered if the moment had come. The Brontid swung again, aiming high, trying to catch Logan off guard. Logan ducked, letting the sword pass over him, and then moved to the side. His own practice sword met the Brontid's weapon in a clash of metal that rang through the arena. Sparks flew. The Brontid roared, but he was surprised. The human moved differently than the other fighters. He was not just fast, he was thinking ahead, reading the battle like a story. Then Logan acted. He pulled back the cloak, revealing the ancient sword. It gleamed in the sunlight, and the air around it seemed to shimmer. The Brontid froze. For the first time in his life, he saw a weapon that felt alive. It was not just metal. It was history, it was power. It was something older than most of the civilizations in the arena. The crowd gasped. Some of the aliens stepped back. They had never seen anything like it. Logan did not hesitate. He moved forward with the sword. The Bronted raised his practice weapon, but he did not strike. He knew instinctively that he could not harm this human, not with the sword in his hands. Logan's first swing cut through the air with a sound that made the floor tremble. The blade was sharp and light, and it moved like water. The Bronted's weapon shattered, splitting in two with a loud crack. The crowd went silent for a moment, then erupted in noise. Aliens shouted, clapped, and some even backed away in fear. Logan's eyes did not leave his opponent. He had no desire to kill, but he would not let anyone stop him either. He circled the Bronted, moving with grace, swinging the sword lightly to test strength and balance. Every move was precise. Every step was deliberate. Other fighters waited along the edge of the arena. They were strong, trained, and dangerous, but they had all been taught to expect a fight with practiced steel. They were not ready for this. They had not seen a human fight with an ancient war sword before. Logan was not just a fighter. He was a story unfolding before their eyes. Kral's eyes narrowed. He did not like surprises. He had run this arena for centuries and had seen countless champions. None had ever wielded a weapon like this. Kral could feel his pride shake. He had thought the human was weak, an easy victory. Now he understood that he had been wrong. The Bronted tried to swing again, but Logan was faster. He parried, stepped inside, and touched the opponent lightly with the sword. The Bronted stumbled, not injured but unbalanced. Logan did not press the attack. He wanted the crowd to see skill, not just power. Every step, every swing was meant to teach them something. Humans were clever. Humans were quick. Humans could turn disadvantage into strength. The arena buzzed with energy. Aliens whispered to one another, pointing and gesturing. "Look at him," they said. "He is not just human, he is something more." Logan ignored them. He was focused on the fight, on the sword, on the lesson he carried. It was not just about winning. It was about showing that humans could rise when the odds were against them. As the fight ended, the Bronted stepped back, exhausted and confused. Logan lowered the sword. He did not celebrate. There was no need. The lesson was already clear. The arena, built to display controlled battles, had just seen something it had never witnessed before. Logan's presence was quiet, but his power spoke louder than any cheer. The next fighters looked on with fear. They were strong, but their confidence had vanished. Logan's reputation had begun in just a few minutes, and already the other aliens respected him in a way they had not intended. The crowd, though diverse and often cruel, had moments of awe. They whispered among themselves about the human and the ancient sword. Some even wondered if Logan had been trained by the gods or if he carried magic in his hands. Logan walked to the edge of the arena, scanning the weapons and the fighters. He knew that the challenges would get harder. The arena was designed to test strength, courage, and strategy. He was ready. He did not fear the next opponent. He had something that others did not, an understanding of the sword, an understanding of movement, and the patience to wait for the right moment. Above him, the sky began to change. The sun was lower now, casting long shadows across the stone floor. The crowd's energy shifted. Excitement mixed with fear. They had never seen a human fight like this before. Logan could feel their attention, their curiosity, their caution. It gave him a strange kind of power, knowing that he could move among them and show them what humans could do. He adjusted the grip on the sword. Its hum was soft, almost like a heartbeat. He could feel the energy flowing through it. The sword had chosen him, and he had chosen the moment. Together, they would teach the arena a lesson it would never forget. Logan's eyes met Kral's across the arena. The master of the game stared back, trying to hide the respect that had begun to grow in him. Logan nodded slightly, almost as a greeting. He did not speak. Words were not needed here. Action would tell the story, and Logan was ready to write it with every step, every swing, every calculated move. The first part of the human's legend had begun. The arena expected practiced steel, but Logan had shown something different. He had shown history, strength, and intelligence wrapped in one powerful sword. The crowd would remember this moment. The fighters would remember it. And Logan knew that the arena had only just begun to see what humans were capable of. The next match began as the first had ended, with whispers and shouts echoing through the arena. Logan stood at the center, gripping the ancient sword in both hands. The weapon felt alive in his grip, its hum steady and strong, as if it were aware of the battles to come. The crowd leaned forward, their glowing eyes fixed on him. They had expected a show of practiced steel and routine movements, but they had seen something far different. They had seen power, control, and precision. From the far side of the arena, a new opponent stepped forward. This one was smaller than the Bronted, but quicker. Her name was Lyra, an avian warrior with sharp talons and wings that shimmered with iridescent colors. She moved with speed and grace, flapping lightly as she hovered for a moment above the stone floor. Logan noticed her eyes, bright and calculating, and he knew she would be a dangerous opponent. She did not rely on brute strength. She relied on speed and cunning. The rules of the arena were simple. The fighters were supposed to use only practiced steel. Logan did not remove the ancient sword from its sheath immediately. Instead, he held it hidden, letting Lyra think he was unarmed. She circled him, her wings creating small gusts of wind with every beat. Logan felt the current shift, allowing him to predict her movement. Humans were smaller, yes, but they were adaptable. They could think quickly and respond to threats in ways others could not. Lyra attacked first, swooping down with a rapid strike. Logan moved to the side, letting her talons and practiced blade pass harmlessly. He countered with a few swift jabs of his own practiced steel, testing her reflexes. She dodged easily, twisting in the air, her wings keeping her balanced. The crowd watched in awe. Speed like hers was rare, and they expected her to overwhelm the human. But Logan was calm. He did not panic. He did not need to. After a few exchanges, he felt it was time. His hand slid to the hilt of the hidden sword beneath his cloak. A quiet pulse of energy ran through him, and he drew it smoothly, letting it catch the light. The sword hummed louder now, and the air around it seemed to vibrate. Lyra paused midair, her eyes widening in shock. She had never seen a weapon like this. It was not just a blade, it was history, it was power, it was something alive. The moment the sword was fully drawn, Logan moved. He stepped lightly, faster than the eye could follow. Lyra lunged, but the ancient sword met her attack, deflecting her practiced steel with ease. Sparks flew as metal hit metal, and the crowd gasped. Logan did not just block her strikes. He guided her movement, forcing her to react to his rhythm. Every swing, every step was calculated. The sword seemed to flow through him, and he flowed through the arena with it. Lyra tried to use her wings to gain speed, to strike from above, but Logan anticipated her moves. He adjusted his stance, shifting weight, keeping balance, and then countered. The sword sliced through the air with a sound that made the ground tremble, and Lyra barely avoided the strike. She twisted in the air, landing lightly, but she was already at a disadvantage. Logan was reading her like an open book. Every movement, every pattern, he saw it before she acted. The crowd could not believe their eyes. This was no longer a simple duel with practiced steel. It was a display of intelligence, skill, and power. Logan's actions were precise, yet fluid. He was not fighting blindly. He was teaching, showing, proving that humans could take even the fastest, most agile opponent and turn the battle into a lesson in patience and control. Lyra attacked again, this time from the side. Logan spun, letting the sword move with him, slicing the air near her talons. She backed away slightly, realizing that speed alone would not defeat him. Humans were not the strongest, perhaps, but they were clever. They could observe, adapt, and overcome. That combination was dangerous, more dangerous than brute force alone. The fight continued, each moment filled with tension. Logan dodged, blocked, and struck in patterns that were both defensive and offensive. He used the sword to guide Lyra's movements, forcing her to react, to make mistakes. The sword hummed, almost as if it approved of his choices. Logan could feel its power flowing through him, making him faster, sharper, more precise. Lyra tried something different. She flapped her wings and created a sudden gust, aiming to knock Logan off balance. The crowd gasped as wind swirled around them. Dust and small stones lifted into the air. Logan crouched slightly, adjusting his stance, letting the sword absorb the movement. He did not stumble. He did not falter. With a quick step forward, he closed the distance and blocked another attack. The sword seemed to guide his hands automatically, reading the battle as though it had a mind of its own. The fight was no longer about who was stronger or faster. It was about control, strategy, and understanding. Logan could see patterns in Lyra's attacks that she herself did not notice. He could anticipate her moves before she made them. The crowd leaned forward, murmuring in excitement and disbelief. This was not just combat. This was something else entirely. This was humans showing that intelligence and training could outweigh natural advantages. After several moments of tension, Logan saw his opportunity. Lyra lunged again, and he stepped lightly to the side. With a smooth, precise movement, he swung the sword, cutting through the air with a sound like thunder. Lyra barely dodged, but the force of the movement unbalanced her. She landed awkwardly, wings ruffling, and stumbled back. Logan did not press the attack. He let her recover, giving her space. Humans were not reckless. Humans fought to win, yes, but they also fought with control and respect. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some cheered, amazed by the human skill. Others whispered in fear, unsure what they were witnessing. Aliens who prided themselves on agility and speed realized that they had underestimated humans. They had expected a quick display of practiced steel, a performance without danger. They had not expected this. They had not expected intelligence combined with skill to become a weapon in itself. Lyra regained her balance and circled again. She attacked from different angles, trying to keep Logan guessing. He blocked, parried, and moved, his movements fluid and natural. He did not rely solely on strength. He relied on observation, timing, and anticipation. Every strike was purposeful. Every step was calculated. The ancient sword was not just a weapon. It was a tool that amplified his skill, and he used it with respect and precision. The fight drew on, and the crowd became more vocal. Some of the aliens began to realize that Logan was teaching them something. He was showing that humans could think beyond the obvious. They could turn disadvantages into advantages, small size into speed, and intelligence into power. This was the lesson the arena had never seen before. Lyra, sensing she could not win by speed alone, tried to use trickery. She feinted, pretending to strike from one side and then attacking from another. Logan recognized the pattern immediately. He stepped lightly, avoiding the feint, and guided her movement with the tip of his sword. Each time she attacked, she was forced to react to him. Each time she moved, she revealed a little more about her strategy. Logan learned it all in moments. Finally, Logan saw the moment he had been waiting for. Lyra attacked with all her speed, wings beating furiously, talons ready. Logan waited. He let her approach, then sidestepped, letting her momentum carry her past. With a single, smooth movement, he tapped the sword near her shoulder, enough to unbalance her without harming her. She stumbled and landed lightly on the stone floor, exhausted and breathing heavily. The crowd erupted. Shouts, cheers, and gasps filled the arena. Logan did not celebrate. He lowered the sword and stepped back. He had shown skill, yes, but he had also shown respect for his opponent. Humans could be clever. Humans could fight with power, but also with control. That combination was rare, and it was dangerous. Lyra looked at him, her bright eyes filled with a mixture of respect and disbelief. She had fought many skilled opponents, but none had moved like this human. He had been calm, precise, and unshakable. She nodded slightly, acknowledging his skill. Logan returned the gesture, a simple nod. Words were not needed. Action had spoken louder than anything they could say. From the stands, Crow watched with growing concern. The arena had always been predictable. He had known every fighter's skill level, their strengths and weaknesses. He had never feared any of them. But this human was different. He did not fight like the others. He thought, he observed, he adapted. Crow's pride, his centuries of experience, could not predict what would happen next. Logan knew the challenges would increase. He had faced the fastest and strongest, but the arena would not send only speed and power. They would send strategy, deception, and perhaps even cunning greater than his own. He welcomed it. Humans thrived in adversity. They could adapt, improvise, and overcome. That was what made them dangerous, and that was what the sword recognized in him. As the dust settled, Logan adjusted the grip on the ancient sword. Its hum was steady again, a quiet reminder of the power it held. He felt the energy flowing through it, calm but strong. The sword had approved of his actions, and it would continue to guide him in the battles to come. The crowd continued to murmur. Some were afraid, some were inspired. They had expected practice steel, a dull performance, a routine show. Instead, they had seen skill, intelligence, and power in a human. Logan had begun to write a story in the arena, a story that would be remembered long after the day ended. He stepped back, letting the next fighters prepare. He did not rush. He did not panic. Every moment in the arena was an opportunity to observe, to learn, and to act. Humans were not the strongest, not the fastest, not the largest, but they were clever, and cleverness could defeat almost anything. Logan's eyes swept across the arena, noting every movement, every weapon, every opponent. The matches ahead would be more difficult, but he was ready. The sword hummed softly, a promise of power and protection. The crowd waited, curious and tense, for what would come next. Logan smiled slightly, though no one could see it beneath the cloak. The arena expected practice steel, but Logan had already shown them that humans carried more than that. The sun dipped lower, shadows stretching across the stone floor. The air was warm and dry. The next challenge was coming, and Logan was ready to meet it. He had survived the first fights with skill and strategy. He would survive the next, and every move, every swing of the sword would show that humans were not to be underestimated. The hum of the sword echoed softly in his hands as he stepped forward. The arena had seen the beginning, but the story was far from over. Logan Hayes and his ancient sword were ready to continue, and the aliens would learn that humans fought not only with strength but with intelligence, courage, and an unshakable will. The arena seemed to hold its breath. Logan stood at the center, his ancient sword humming softly in his hands. The air smelled of dust and sweat, mixed with the faint tang of alien metal from the armor and weapons lying nearby. The crowd waited with tension, their glowing eyes fixed on him. They had seen a human move with skill, speed, and control, but now the challenges would grow harder. From the far side of the arena, Crow raised his hand, a signal that something new was coming. Logan watched as the floor shifted and a large platform emerged. On it stood the next opponent. She was tall, with 4 arms and skin the color of dark stone. Her name was Vera. Her eyes were sharp and her movements were measured. She carried 2 long practice swords in her upper arms and 2 short daggers in her lower arms. The crowd roared. 4-armed fighters were rare, and they were fast and deadly. Even with practice steel, Vera was dangerous. Logan tightened his grip on the ancient sword. He had faced brute strength before, and he had faced speed, but 4-armed precision was a new challenge. Still, he did not feel fear. Humans thrived when they were challenged. Logan knew how to adapt. The first strike came quickly. Vera lunged with her long practice swords, swinging in a wide arc. Logan blocked with the ancient sword, moving with fluidity. Sparks flew as the weapons collided. The hum of the ancient sword seemed to grow louder, as if it were alive and reacting to the danger. Logan could feel its energy flowing through him, sharpening his reflexes. Vera attacked again, faster this time. Her forearms moved independently, striking from different angles. Logan moved with care, dodging and parrying. He could not block every strike at once, so he used his speed to move in patterns, forcing her to adjust. Every movement had purpose. Every step was calculated. Humans were small, yes, but they were clever. They could turn even the fastest opponent into someone who made mistakes. The crowd watched in silence for a moment, then erupted into shouts. The fight was fast, almost too fast to follow. Logan moved like water flowing around Vera's attacks. He blocked with precision, using the sword to guide her movements. She was strong and skilled, but Logan had something she did not: experience in reading patterns, predicting attacks, and finding openings. Vera realized she could not win with strength alone. She tried to overwhelm Logan with her multiple attacks. Her upper swords struck together in a heavy swing, while her lower daggers darted in unpredictable directions. Logan adjusted, letting some attacks pass harmlessly while deflecting the dangerous ones. He used her own momentum against her, guiding her off balance without hitting her too hard. The crowd was amazed. They had expected a quick show of skill, but Logan was teaching a lesson. He was showing them that humans were more than they appeared. They were small, yes, but they were smart, fast, and adaptable. They could survive, they could win, and they could change the course of a fight without relying solely on strength. Vera's attacks grew more desperate. She tried to corner him, moving around him, striking from every side. Logan did not panic. He watched carefully, observing patterns. Every fighter had one, even the fastest and strongest. He waited, breathing slowly, moving lightly. When she lunged again, he stepped aside, letting her momentum carry her forward. With a quick movement, he tapped her leg with the edge of the sword, unbalancing her. She stumbled but did not fall. Her eyes widened. She had never faced an opponent who could read her movements so clearly. Logan did not smile. He simply moved, keeping his focus. The crowd could see the respect in her eyes. Even though she had 4 arms, she realized that cleverness and patience could overcome brute skill. The fight continued. Logan circled, dodged, and struck in moments of opportunity. He used the sword to guide Vera's movements, forcing her to overextend or make errors. She tried to adjust, but the human was always one step ahead. The hum of the sword seemed to echo through the arena, a sound of power that no alien had ever felt before. After several exchanges, Logan saw an opening. Vera swung her long swords together in a wide arc. Logan ducked, stepping inside her attack. With a single, precise movement, he tapped her shoulder lightly with the edge of the ancient sword. She fell to her knees, exhausted and surprised but not hurt. Logan stepped back, lowering the sword. He had won the round without cruelty. The crowd erupted. Some cheered, some gasped, and some whispered in awe. The human had shown skill, control, and power beyond what anyone had expected. Logan's reputation grew with every step he took. Aliens who had looked down on humans began to realize that they had underestimated this species. Humans were clever, humans were adaptable, humans could survive, fight, and win against impossible odds. Vera slowly stood and nodded. She had lost, but she understood something important. Strength and speed were not enough. Intelligence and strategy mattered. Logan nodded back, acknowledging her skill. Words were not needed. Action had spoken louder than anything. Krall watched from his platform, his expression unreadable. He had trained his champions for centuries. He had seen countless fighters, each more skilled than the last. But this human Logan was different. He did not fight like the others. He thought, adapted, and predicted. He was small but powerful. Krall's pride was shaken. The arena had always been predictable. Now it was not. Logan's hand brushed the hilt of the sword again. Its hum was steady, almost comforting. He could feel its energy guiding him, preparing him for what was coming next. The arena had more fighters, more challenges, and more surprises. He welcomed them. Humans thrived in adversity. They could turn obstacles into opportunities. They could take the strongest opponents and find a way to win. As the next challenger appeared, Logan observed carefully. This one was massive, taller than any human, with thick armor and jagged spikes on his shoulders. He carried a heavy practice hammer that looked like it could crush stone. The crowd roared in excitement and fear. This fighter was known for his power. He could defeat multiple opponents at once with sheer force. Logan adjusted his stance. He did not fear strength. Humans could survive strength with intelligence, speed, and careful planning. He knew that brute force alone could not defeat him if he remained calm and patient. The ancient sword hummed in response, almost as if it approved of his confidence. The giant swung the hammer. The arena shook with the impact. Logan jumped lightly, letting the hammer smash into the ground where he had just been. Dust flew into the air and the crowd gasped. The giant swung again, faster this time, trying to crush Logan. Logan moved carefully, keeping distance, letting the weapon's weight work against him. He saw the patterns. Every swing had a rhythm, every step a pause. Humans were trained to notice these things. Logan waited, moving lightly, and then struck at the moment the giant was unbalanced. The sword cut through the air with a sound like a scream. He tapped the hammer, pushing it off to the side and forcing the giant to stumble. The crowd shouted. They had never seen a human move like this. They had never seen intelligence and skill overcome raw power. Logan moved around the giant, striking again, tapping the weapon and avoiding the crushing blows. Each movement was precise. Each strike was measured. He did not attack recklessly. He controlled the fight with calm patience. Finally, the giant stumbled and fell to one knee. Logan stepped forward, sword ready, but did not strike further. He had won not through strength, but through skill and observation. The giant looked up at him, breathing heavily, and realized the truth. Humans could fight with brains as well as bodies. They could turn weakness into strength. The crowd erupted into cheers. Logan lowered the sword and stepped back. He had survived 3 of the arena's toughest fighters. He had proven that humans were more than they appeared. He had shown skill, intelligence, and control, and the crowd had witnessed it. Kral's eyes narrowed. He had underestimated the human, and he knew that the next rounds would be more dangerous. He had more challengers, more surprises, and he hoped that Logan would fail. But Logan did not worry. Humans thrived in challenge. They could adapt, survive, and win, even when the odds seemed impossible. Logan adjusted his grip on the sword and looked across the arena. He could see the next opponent preparing, a shadow in the distance. The crowd held its breath. The matches would continue, but Logan knew he was ready. Humans had always survived by thinking, adapting, and acting with intelligence. They were clever, patient, and strong in ways that others underestimated. The ancient sword hummed in his hands, a quiet reminder of power, history, and skill. Logan smiled slightly, though no one could see it. He did not need to. His actions had spoken. The arena expected practice steel, but Logan had shown them something far more dangerous. He had shown that humans could survive, fight, and win in ways no one had imagined. The story of Logan Hayes was just beginning. The crowd would remember this day, the aliens would remember this day, and the arena would never be the same. Humans had arrived, and they had brought intelligence, skill, and courage with them. The challenges ahead would be harder, but Logan was ready. The sword was ready. And together, they would show that humans were not to be underestimated. The sun had dipped lower in the sky, and shadows stretched across the arena floor. Logan Hayes stood in the center, gripping the ancient sword tightly. Its hum was soft but strong, like a heartbeat, warning that something more dangerous was coming. The crowd whispered and shouted, their excitement growing with every match. They had seen humans fight before, but never like this. They had seen intelligence, skill, and speed combine into a single, unstoppable force. From the far side of the arena, the next opponent appeared. He was huge, taller than any human, with thick, dark armor that glinted in the sunlight. His skin was pale, almost white, and his eyes burned red. The crowd called him Gorn, the strongest fighter in the arena. His reputation alone made even seasoned spectators hold their breath. He carried a massive, double-edged axe. Though it was practiced steel, every swing could crush bone if it connected. Logan did not flinch. He had faced speed, agility, and multi-armed fighters, but he had survived all of them. Strength alone did not frighten humans. He had learned long ago that intelligence, timing, and patience could overcome even the largest opponents. His eyes met Gorn's, steady and calm. Gorn swung the axe once to test him, and the ground shook. Logan stepped lightly to the side, letting the axe pass. He felt the sword hum, approving his movement. Gorn's attacks were powerful and relentless. Each swing of the axe created a gust of wind that blew dust into the arena. The crowd shouted, some cheering for Gorn, some in awe of the human who could survive the first swings. Logan moved carefully, dodging, parrying, and observing. He had learned to read fighters like books. Every strike had a rhythm, every movement had a pattern. He needed only one opening to turn the battle. The fight continued and Gorn grew more aggressive. He swung the axe in wide arcs, trying to crush Logan outright. Logan moved lightly, stepping inside some attacks, retreating from others. He let Gorn's weight and speed work against him. The crowd could see it. Logan did not fight recklessly. He calculated, adapted, and waited. Humans were clever, and humans could survive where others fell. Gorn attempted a new tactic. He feinted with the axe, pretending to swing high, then aimed for Logan's legs. Logan noticed the shift in weight, the subtle movement, and dodged. He countered lightly with the tip of the sword, not to harm Gorn but to test the timing. Each touch, each clash gave him more information. He began to see the pattern in Gorn's strength, the moments where the axe slowed, where Gorn overextended. The crowd held its breath. This fight was different. It was not about who was stronger. It was about who could control the moment, who could turn an opening into victory. Logan stepped forward, flowing with the sword like water. The ancient blade hummed louder, responding to his focus. Gorn swung the axe again, harder and faster, but Logan moved with precision, slipping inside the arc. He tapped the axe lightly with the sword. The impact was enough to shift its weight and force Gorn to stagger slightly. Logan did not press the attack. He did not need to. Each swing, each movement, taught Gorn something he did not know. The human was not just surviving. He was learning faster than Gorn could adapt. Humans had a strange ability to see patterns and act on them instantly. That made them unpredictable, dangerous. Gorn roared, swinging the axe in a desperate flurry. Logan danced lightly around the swings, letting some attacks pass harmlessly while deflecting others. The crowd gasped at every movement. The human was small, but he moved like he was everywhere at once. Every step had purpose. Every swing of the sword guided Gorn's movements, forcing him to make mistakes. Logan noticed the moment he had been waiting for. Gorn raised the axe high for a powerful strike. Logan stepped to the side, letting the heavy weapon pass, and then thrust forward with the sword. The blade met the axe near the handle, and Gorn staggered off balance. Logan used the momentum to push Gorn slightly backward, careful not to harm him. He had no desire to kill, only to win and teach. The crowd erupted into cheers and shouts. Some were amazed, some whispered in fear. Humans were clever. Humans were patient. Humans could survive strength, speed, and skill by combining all three with thought and timing. Logan had shown them that intelligence could overcome raw power. Even Gorn, breathing heavily, realized that he was facing something he had never faced before. Logan adjusted his grip on the sword, feeling its hum steady in response. He could sense Gorn's attack slowing slightly. The giant was strong, but he had underestimated the human. Every swing had a rhythm and Logan had learned it. He could now act at the perfect moment. He did not rush. Humans had patience, and patience could defeat almost anything. He moved lightly, letting Gorn swing the axe once more. Then in a single smooth motion, Logan sidestepped and tapped the blade of the sword near Gorn's shoulder. The tap was enough to shift Gorn's balance. He stumbled, almost falling. Logan stepped back, giving him space to recover. He did not strike again. Strength without control was useless, Logan knew. The crowd watched in silence, then erupted again. Logan had survived one of the arena's strongest fighters without even trying to hurt him. He had done it with intelligence, skill, and patience. Aliens who had thought humans were weak now began to whisper. They realized that this species could be dangerous in ways they could not predict. Gorn rose slowly, nodding slightly. He had lost this round, but he respected the human. He realized that strength alone was not enough to win. The human had used speed, timing, and observation to survive and triumph. Logan returned the nod. Respect was important. Humans fought to win, yes, but they also fought with honor. Kral's expression darkened. He had watched his strongest fighter fail, and he knew the human's reputation would grow. The arena was meant to display controlled combat, but Logan had turned it into a demonstration of human ingenuity. Kral could feel the crowd shifting, seeing humans differently. They were clever, resourceful, and adaptable, everything his champions were trained to be, but better in ways he had not expected. Logan knew the next rounds would be even more difficult. He had faced strength, speed, and multi-armed fighters. He had survived and won through skill and strategy. The next opponent might combine all of those traits. He needed focus, patience, and understanding of the battlefield. The arena had walls, weapons, and terrain. Every step could be a lesson, every swing could be a message. The air shifted as the next fighter entered. This one was smaller but covered in sleek armor that shimmered like liquid metal. She carried twin blades and moved silently. The crowd's cheers softened to whispers. She was fast, silent, and precise. Logan's eyes narrowed. He had faced speed before, but combined with stealth, this would be a challenge unlike any other. The duel began. The armored fighter moved quickly, darting from side to side. Logan adjusted, letting her move and observing patterns. He did not strike immediately. Humans were trained to see opportunity and act when it mattered most. The twin blades came toward him, flashing, and Logan blocked with the sword. Sparks flew as metal met metal. She feinted to the left, then struck from the right. Logan moved with precision, avoiding damage. He began to notice a rhythm in her movements, small tells that betrayed her strikes. Humans had patience. They waited for the right moment to act. Logan bided his time, letting her exhaust herself with repeated attacks. The crowd watched, fascinated. This was no simple display of practiced skill. This was a human teaching a lesson in combat. Every movement had meaning. Every step was careful. The fighter tried to overwhelm him, but Logan adapted faster than she could anticipate. Intelligence could beat speed, and humans had plenty of it. Finally, Logan saw the opening. She swung both blades in a wide arc, trying to strike from above and below at the same time. Logan stepped lightly to the side, letting one blade pass and deflecting the other. With a smooth movement, he tapped her chest lightly with the tip of the sword, just enough to knock her backward. She stumbled, surprised and unbalanced. The crowd erupted in cheers. Logan had survived, observed, and acted. He had not relied on brute strength. He had relied on intelligence, patience, and the ancient sword guiding him. Humans were small, yes, but they could fight in ways the largest and strongest could not imagine. The arena master, Kral, watched closely. His pride was shaken. He had never seen a human fight like this. Every opponent had fallen or been pushed to the edge. Logan had shown them all that humans were clever, adaptable, and dangerous in ways that brute force could never match. Logan adjusted his grip on the sword. Its hum was steady, a reminder of power and skill. He knew the final rounds would be the hardest. The challenges ahead would test him in every way: strength, speed, strategy, and endurance. Humans thrived in challenge. They could survive impossible odds. They could adapt. They could win. The crowd waited, tense and silent now. They had seen humans fight in ways they could not understand. Logan took a deep breath, feeling the energy of the sword flowing through him. He was ready. The final rounds would come, and he would meet them head-on. The arena expected practice steel, but Logan had shown them that humans carried more: courage, intelligence, and an unshakable will. The sun touched the horizon, casting long shadows across the arena floor. Dust hung in the air, and the hum of the sword seemed louder, almost like a heartbeat. Logan looked around, scanning the crowd, the opponents, and the battlefield. Every step, every swing, every movement could be the key to victory. Humans had always survived. Humans had always adapted. And now, Logan would show that humans could dominate even in an arena designed to control them. The arena was silent now, the sun dipping low behind distant towers, casting long, dark shadows over the stone floor. Logan Hayes stood in the center, gripping the ancient sword. Its hum was steady and strong, like a living heartbeat. The crowd watched, tense and quiet. They had seen humans fight before, but the challenges now would test everything Logan had learned. From the far side of the arena, the final opponent appeared. She was enormous, taller than the tallest humans, with thick armor that covered her entire body. Her skin was pale and her eyes glowed like fire. Her name was Serana. She carried twin axes, each as long as Logan was tall. Even with practiced steel, they looked deadly. The crowd gasped, murmuring among themselves. This was the strongest fighter in the arena. Many had come to see her fight, expecting her to crush anyone in her path. Logan did not flinch. He had faced speed, strength, multiple limbs, and stealth before. Humans were smaller, yes, but they were clever, patient, and adaptable. He had learned to read fighters, anticipate moves, and use every advantage the arena offered. Logan tightened his grip on the sword and took a deep breath. The hum of the blade grew slightly louder, as if acknowledging the coming challenge. Serana swung the first axe with terrifying speed. The ground shook as it struck, leaving deep marks where it landed. Logan moved lightly to the side, letting the heavy weapon pass. He could feel the strength behind each swing. Serana attacked again, faster, swinging from left to right, trying to overwhelm him. Logan dodged and blocked, moving like water around her strikes. He could see the patterns. Every swing, every step had a rhythm. He waited for the right moment. The crowd watched in stunned silence. Logan did not just fight with strength or speed. He fought with intelligence. He adapted. He observed. Every move was calculated. Even Serana, confident and powerful, began to realize she had underestimated him. Her attacks grew more desperate. She tried to crush him with brute force, but the human was always one step ahead. Logan's eyes scanned the arena. He could use the terrain. The walls, the stone columns, even the dust in the air could be an advantage. Serana did not notice. She relied on power and aggression. Logan relied on thinking. Humans had survived for centuries because they could adapt. They could turn obstacles into weapons. They could see openings where others saw walls. He moved lightly, letting Serana swing one axe, then the other. The crowd gasped at every near miss. Logan blocked one strike, dodged another, and then tapped her armor lightly with the tip of the ancient sword. She staggered, surprised. The hum of the sword grew stronger, guiding his movements. It was more than metal. It was history, experience, and intelligence embodied. Serana roared and swung both axes together, aiming to crush him. Logan ducked, rolled lightly, and sprang back to his feet. His movements were fluid, precise, and controlled. The crowd could see it now. Logan was not just surviving. He was teaching a lesson. He was showing them what humans were capable of. They were small, yes, but intelligent, quick, and unafraid. They could overcome even the strongest opponents. The fight continued. Serana attacked with everything she had. Logan moved with the sword, blocking, guiding, and observing. Every moment, every swing gave him more information. He noticed small tells in her movements, slight shifts in weight, tiny delays in timing. Humans had patience, and Logan waited. He had survived larger and faster fighters before. This was no different, except the stakes were higher. He let her swing again, harder this time. The force of the axe created a gust of wind that sent dust swirling around them. Logan did not panic. He stayed calm, letting her attacks come and go. Humans could survive by thinking, and Logan's mind was sharp. He saw the openings. He saw the weaknesses. He would strike only when the moment was perfect. Serana's attacks grew more furious. She tried to corner him against the arena wall. Logan moved lightly, stepping back and to the side. The sword hummed louder, almost like it was alive, warning him, guiding him. He used Serana's momentum against her. Every swing, every heavy strike pushed her closer to a mistake. Humans could survive strength with intelligence. Logan was living proof. Finally, the moment came. Serana swung both axes in a wide arc, aiming to crush him completely. Logan stepped to the side, letting the axes pass harmlessly. Then, in a single smooth motion, he moved forward and struck with the ancient sword. The blade tapped her armor near the shoulders, shifting her balance. She stumbled, caught off guard by the speed and precision of his strike. The crowd erupted. Cheers, shouts, and gasps filled the arena. They had never seen a human move like this. They had expected practiced steel, routine combat, and controlled battles. Instead, they saw intelligence, skill, and courage combined. Logan had shown that humans were more than they appeared. They were clever, adaptable, and unafraid. Serana rose slowly, her eyes wide with surprise and respect. She had never faced an opponent who could read her attacks, anticipate her moves, and strike with such precision. Logan did not smile. He simply adjusted his grip on the sword and stepped back. Strength alone was not victory. Skill, patience, and intelligence mattered more than brute power. Humans had survived by understanding that lesson. The crowd continued to cheer. They had watched humans fight and win against impossible odds. Logan had survived the arena's strongest opponent. He had done it not with strength, but with intelligence, observation, and patience. Humans were small, yes, but dangerous in ways the largest fighters could not imagine. Kral's expression darkened. He had seen his strongest champion fail, and he knew the human's reputation would grow beyond the arena. Logan had shown the crowd, the fighters, and even Kral himself that humans were clever, adaptable, and fearless. The arena had been designed to control combat, but Logan had turned it into a lesson on survival, intelligence, and courage. Logan walked slowly to the center of the arena. He lowered the ancient sword slightly. Its hum grew soft again, steady and calm. The crowd watched him closely. He had won, but he did not boast. Humans fought to survive, to teach, and to win with respect. He had proven that intelligence could overcome strength, and patience could overcome speed. The fighters in the arena, those who had survived, looked at him differently now. They had underestimated humans before. They would not again. Even Serana, massive and powerful, now nodded in respect. She had seen that strength alone was not enough. Intelligence, strategy, and patience mattered most. Humans had survived centuries by knowing this. Logan had reminded them. The sun had almost set. Shadows stretched across the arena, long and dark. Dust floated in the air, disturbed by the fights. The crowd continued to cheer, but there was a new energy in their shouts. They had not expected humans to fight like this. They had expected practiced steel, controlled movements, and easy victories. Instead, they had seen strategy, skill, and courage. Humans could survive. Humans could win. Humans could teach lessons that others could not understand. Logan's eyes scanned the arena one last time. The ancient sword hummed softly in his hands, a reminder of its power and history. The crowd had witnessed something remarkable. The aliens in the arena had learned that humans were clever, adaptable, and unafraid. Logan had survived the impossible. He had outsmarted, outmaneuvered, and outlasted opponents stronger, faster, and more experienced than him. Krall stepped forward slowly, his pride shaken but his expression unreadable. He looked at Logan, then at the crowd. Finally, he raised a hand in acknowledgement. It was the first time anyone had seen the arena master admit respect for a human. Logan nodded slightly. Words were not needed. His actions had spoken. The crowd erupted in celebration. Humans were no longer the small, weak species they had assumed. They were clever, resourceful, and capable of overcoming impossible odds. Logan had shown that intelligence, patience, and skill could triumph where brute strength could not. The arena would never forget this day. Logan turned and walked toward the exit, the sword humming softly in his hands. The sun had set completely, leaving the arena in shadow. The crowd continued to cheer, but Logan did not look back. He had proven the lesson. He had survived the arena's strongest fighters. He had shown that humans were clever, adaptable, and fearless. The ancient sword had guided him, and together they had written a story that would be remembered for generations. As he reached the gates, Logan paused and looked back at the arena one last time. The dust hung in the air, the shadows stretched long across the stone floor, and the crowd was still cheering. He smiled slightly, feeling the sword hum in response. Humans had survived impossible odds before, and they would continue to do so. Intelligence, courage, and patience were their greatest weapons. Strength alone was never enough. Logan stepped through the gates, leaving the arena behind. The story of the human and the ancient sword would spread across worlds. Aliens who had witnessed it would tell their friends, their families, and their enemies. Humans had arrived in the galaxy, clever, strong, and unafraid, and they would never be underestimated again. The hum of the sword faded to a gentle vibration in Logan's hands. The battles were over for now, but the legend had only begun. He had survived the arena, taught a lesson to the galaxy, and shown that humans could overcome any challenge. Intelligence, skill, patience, and courage had won the day. The arena had expected practice steel, but the human had unleashed something far greater. Logan Hayes and his ancient sword had become a story that no one would forget. The crowd would remember it, the fighters would remember it, and even Krall would remember it. Humans were clever, adaptable, and unafraid. They could survive, fight, and win where others could not, and the legend of the human in the arena would continue to grow. The night settled over the arena, cool and quiet. Logan walked toward the horizon, the ancient sword at his side. The battles had ended, but the story would never end. Humans had proven themselves. They had shown their intelligence, their courage, and their skill. The galaxy would never forget. And Logan knew that this was only the beginning.